afternoon. I'm Shawn Yao and this is One News Now. The number of returning overseas Filipinos testing positive for COVID-19 has also gone up. This is according to the Bureau of Quarantine. To give us the details, we have Greg Gregorio joining us live from Mandaluyong. Greg, hi. How many returning Filipinos are turning out positive now as compared to previous months? Are there really a lot?
Hi, Sean. According to Dr. Roberto Salvador of the Bureau of Quarantine, there were only around 20 returning overseas Filipinos who are turning positive with COVID-19 each day back in late November until 2 weeks ago when the numbers went up or even quadrupled to about 80 to 100. In fact, just this morning, about 104 returning overseas Filipinos were extracted from their previous isolation facilities and transferred to the Manila COVID-19 Field Hospital after their RT-PCR tests yielded positive results. Sean?
Right. Are there still enough quarantine facilities to accommodate these additional COVID patients that are turning out in higher numbers, as much as 4 or 5 times compared to November?
Yes, Sean, according to Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, the current utilization rate of the temporary treatment and monitoring facilities across the country is just around 24%. But as the country or as the government is preparing for the possible impact of the Omicron variant, they are already working with local government units to possibly accommodate these returning overseas Filipinos in their local quarantine facilities or isolation facilities. Sean?
Right. Now, given the rising cases both between arriving Filipinos as well as here in the metro, how is the government planning to tweak their response, especially with the looming threat of the Omicron variant?
Sean, according to Secretary Duque, even as we do not have a whole genome sequencing report that would support the theory that the Omicron might already be in circulation in communities, Duque said it is now good to assume such as that for us, to have or for the local government units or for the government to have a better response to whatever is coming ahead. As we all know, prior to the Omicron variant, we have dealt with the Delta variant, and according to Duque, their playbook right now is the worst case scenario of the Delta variant, as the details or the information about Omicron variant as of yet are still unstable. Sean?
Right. Now, having said all of that, Greg, is the Department of Health considering to extend the mandatory quarantine period for returning OFWs or even just for anyone arriving into the country?
Sean, we've asked Duque the same question, and according to him, the 14-day quarantine for incoming travelers still remains, as there is no recommendation yet from our health experts. But according to Duque, they are open as soon as there are other recommendations from our health experts regarding this matter. Sean?
Right. Now, on a slightly different topic, Greg, but still COVID-related, do we have any new updates on this individual who allegedly violated quarantine protocols or skipped quarantine altogether to go, to bars in Makati? Will this person face possible complaints? Will she be charged?
Yes, Sean, according to the Bureau of Quarantine, their complaint against this so-called Poblacion girl is already prepared. This as the investigation being conducted by the Department of Health as well as the Department of Tourism is ongoing. According to Secretary Duque, anyone who will be identified as involved in this breach of protocol will be facing charges against under the violation of the Mandatory Reporting of Notifiable Diseases Act, and one who is found to be liable could be charged with a fine or even imprisonment. And in the meantime, according to Secretary Galvez, the PNP and the DILG will be providing support for the conduct of regular inspections and on-the-spot inspection in hotels or motels that are identified as isolation areas. Sean?
Right. What about these quarantine facilities, these quarantine hotels? Will authorities be checking to see whether there are similar incidents of breaches in quarantine protocols, as well as establishments, like dining establishments, bars? Will they be inspecting these for possible breaches in protocol?
Yeah, Sean, for isolation facilities, the Bureau of Quarantine said that they will be in constant coordination or communication with these facilities to closely monitor individuals who are supposed to be under quarantine in these facilities and on other establishments like bars or dining areas, as you have mentioned. The Department of Tourism has released an earlier statement that they will be closely looking at it, and they're also part of the ongoing investigation to make sure that this kind of incident will not happen again. Sean?
All right, thank you so much for those updates, Greg. That was Greg Gregorio of News 5 reporting to us live from Mandaluyong City. In other news, the death toll from Typhoon Odette has climbed to 405. This is according to the latest tally by the NDRRMC. The agency said over 1,000 people were injured, while 82 are still missing. Damage to infrastructure is estimated at 16.7 billion pesos, while damage to agriculture is pegged at around 6.7 billion. More than 300 cities and municipalities were also placed under a state of calamity. Meanwhile, power supply in at least 200 affected areas has been restored. Water continues to be a problem, though, with only 1 of 18 affected areas having gotten their water supply back. Almost half of the 165 affected areas have communication lines completely restored. And a new and improved Manila Zoo is set to welcome back the public soon, but a few guests were able to get a first look during yesterday's soft reopening. Camille Samonte with that story.
2 years after its closure, the Manila Zoo finally reopened on Thursday. Some families of the construction workers of the zoo have been invited by the Manila LGU for a sneak peek and to enjoy the new look of the park. At the entrance of the zoo, visitors will be greeted with a replica of Mali, the zoo's famous elephant who has been a resident since 1977. Mali's pen was also renovated, now more spacious, along with a pond which is still under construction. The new Manila Zoo also features a bigger aviary with an elevated walkway to give visitors a closer encounter with birds. Viewing decks are also installed around the animal closures. The zoo now also showcases new attractions such as the Animal Museum, Botanical Garden, and Butterfly Garden. To ensure safety and proper sanitation, a sewage treatment plant has also been installed inside the zoo. According to Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, they invited the families of the zoo staff to express their gratitude. Moreno also announced that they will waive the entrance fee of the zoo for the whole month of January.
Kayo ang bida, kayo ang unang titikim ng bagay na inyong ginawa, 10 ng inyong mga pamilya.
Some families were also grateful to be the first ones to experience the new Manila Zoo.
Ang laki ng improvement, ang laki ng development, parang wala ka sa Manila Zoo dati, para ka nasa ibang bansa.
Dati, tatatandaan ko, hindi talaga ganito kaganda. Mas okay po. Kasi dito, pwede namin ituro yung katulad ng elephant, tiger.
At the moment, only few animals are inside the zoo. Some are expected to be brought back here by the first quarter of 2022 as soon as they're done with the renovations. Ticket prices, on the other hand, will remain the same, with non-Manila residents to be charged 100 pesos per head, while Manileños are to be given a discounted rate of 50 pesos per head.
Siguro, stay muna kami doon. Mag-stay? Yes, oo. Siyempre, ang gusto kasi ni Mayor, na nabanggit kanina, gusto niya maranasan ng mga taong mahihirap.
The Manila LGU will announce in the coming days the schedule of the opening of the zoo for the general public. They will also release the guidelines and protocols, including the capacity for visitors. The management is also planning to implement cashless transaction to avoid crowding at the entrance area. For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
South Korea's entertainment business is driving a boom in Korean-made goods as the country's food exports ballooned to $4.3 billion in 2020. Let's find out more from this Bloomberg Quick Take.
Entertainment and content like Squid Game has been booming, and that's also luring customers to embrace the country's culture and cuisine all the way in the US. And that includes this ramen and also dumplings, as well as water purifiers promoted by BTS. Let me show you what they are. So these frozen dumplings are called mandu, and Seoul-based CJ Jeoljadang is the company behind them. It's perfect.
Mandu became popular to BTS fans when the two members of the boy band said they were fighting over the Korean dumplings, and they even mentioned the fighting and mandu in one of their songs. Also, CJ's acquisition of an American brand Shuwan's helped the Korean company increase sales of frozen foods in the US. It's $570 million in foreign sales of mandu in 2020, almost double its domestic haul. And Bibigo, its main mandu brand, partnered up with the Los Angeles Lakers for jersey sponsorship. Another company that faced a surge of sales thanks to K-pop's popularity is a Korean water purifier maker Koei that used BTS to advertise its products. Koei reported record sales for the third quarter, driven by 43% growth in Malaysia and 12% in the US.
Now I'm gonna cook chapaguri, which was featured in the movie Parasite. So what I've just made is a mix of two noodle products, chapaguri and noguri. And this might look familiar to you if you watched the movie Parasite. The instant noodle maker Nongsim's stock price surged after one of the female characters cooked this.
The company's overseas sales jumped 24% year-on-year in 2020 to $990 million after the movie received the Academy Award and became really credited for helping introduce Korean cinema to new audiences. And it also resonated home with a 60% surge in domestic sales in the 3 days following the Oscar win. Dalgona used to be one of the favorite snacks of Korean school children after the Korean War. The sugar candy is resurging in popularity after Squid Game's competitors had trouble cutting it into shapes.
South Korea exported around $4.3 billion worth of food in 2020 to the world. And that's the largest ever since the country was established, according to the government data. Could the food be the next phase of the global K-wave?
For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.